we're back to part 2. I'm just getting set up. This is going to be a continuation of yesterday, because there is a lot of side characters in this game. And no music again this time, because I want to focus on the characters. Because again, there's a lot. And I think I found a list that has all of the characters that have shown up so far. I had to double check on like the Wikipedia for the game just to see if I had all the ones that have so far shown up with like a model and stuff. Because there's like a lot of characters that just get brought up because it's like, oh, this person has this parents or whatever, but it's like they don't actually show up. And I'm not counting the manga either, because even then, some characters, they don't show up, but then you get characters that show up in the manga that don't show up in the game, and I'm just like, that's not fair. Like, you get designs of Trey's parents, but you don't get Riddle's mother. She's a monster, or something, because, like, you don't see her. You never see her. We'll never see her. I need to get water. I'll be back. I also realized I did not actually set up the proper screen. We'll get to that when we get to that. How's it going, though? How's it going, Soggy? How's everybody doing? As we wait while I do the final touches of getting everything set up properly. I did kind of start a little bit early because of setting things up. I got a little too excited. And I thought it was going to take me a little bit longer to try and find the list that had, like, every character so far. I mean, it doesn't have, like, every character. It doesn't have, the ghosts, but, it only has one ghost, but, The list is a little bit incomplete, but it is the most complete that I could find because, like, I don't know, some of these lists, they haven't been updated in a while. Same thing with, like, the character wiki in general, for some reason, even though some of these characters already have, like, their images out there to be added to the Wikipedia page. I don't know, they did some remodeling over there. Something happened. Did someone say ghost? Yeah. There's ghosts in this game as well. And Lilia Von Rouge knows a little bit too well of what the world of the ghosts look like. It's kind of funny. It's like, it was in one of the Halloween events, the second half of the first one. And Silver just casually mentions, like, oh yeah, my dad, he went to the other side once. He came back, though. And everybody's just like, what? The way he just says everything that Lilia's done is so casually, but he doesn't even mention that it's Lilia because nobody really knows that. that when he's talking about his dad, he's talking about Lilia, and the only person that actually knows what he means is Sebek and Malleus. And that's just so funny. So, like, everybody kind of just hears these random stories about Silver's dad, and it turns out, oh, that's Lilia. Okay, oops. We don't want that today. We don't want you right now. How do I do this again? Aha! Found it. And now I just need to turn back in. Yeah, so like, as you can see, there's quite a lot of characters here. Also, today I have a crown on my head because I stole the Fairy Queen's crown today. Yes, yes. I like taking items from this game. It's kind of funny. Anyways. I kind of organized this a little bit by character's first appearance. I've kind of organized this by, I think, event appearances, because, like, I tried to remember who showed up first and who didn't. I think you showed up. Yeah, you showed up first. So, yeah. And I've kind of ranked these by, like, the category rankings are slightly different this time around. Because some of these characters literally only show up for, like, one event. Some of them show up for the main story and in events. And then some you get cards of. I'm just... Let me fix this. Let me fix this a little bit just so that we can see more. Hold on while I adjust things. Hello, good morning. Oops. Yeah, you know what? Turning off the border. I don't need my border anymore. But yeah, as you can see, good morning, Marcus. We have a lot of characters to sort through because I think there's a bit more side characters than main characters. I couldn't find one with the ramshackle ghosts. So I'm gonna kind of talk about them while I talk about this first character over here. This ghost bride. This clearly haunted mansion inspired one. Because I think that was like one of the first events that showed a side character. I'm pretty sure. I can't remember very well. But like, yeah, we got a ghost bride, and her name is Eliza. And she comes from the ghost marriage event, and I don't remember what that got localized to in English. Because some of these event titles changed from the English version to the Japanese version. I think the music was too quiet on the viewing end off stream thus far. We couldn't hear a thing. Oh yeah, I don't have music today because this is just part 2 of the first one. So just for consistency's sake, I have no music and it's just pure ramblings right now. As I explained to you some events that some of these characters have shown up in. Or if they've shown up in the main story, or if they've shown up in both, because some characters show up in both side events and main stories. Some do not, but some do. Is Eliza the Haunted Mansion bride? Yeah, pretty much. The whole ghost marriage event is basically this ghost bride keeps coming to the school every once in a while to try and find her perfect idea of a husband. And the one day she decides to come back is the one day Ida decides to step out of his room and she's like, that's my man. And that's when you get Ortho threatening to blow up Night Raven College if they don't help Ida escape from this ghost bride who's pretty much gonna spirit him away if they fail. Like, she's kind of a funny character, though, because, like, she's like, I need a perfect man, and then Ace is the one that tells her straight up, like, girl, there's no such thing. You had the perfect man right beside you this entire time. He was helping you with all this madness, and you still wanted Ida, who clearly does not want you. So the ghost bride is a cougar, got it. The ghost bride's older than Ida. Yeah, it's so funny. But it's kind of funny because, like, in the end of the event, she marries the ghost that was, like, by her side the whole time, and it's like, ah, that's so sweet. We'll totally forget that you almost killed Ida. But I'm kind of bringing up the Ramshackle Ghost 2 with her because a lot of the ghosts that show up in this game are just reskins of the same 3 ghost models. Like, she's the only unique ghost model, and then everything else is just the Ramshackle ghosts, but in different outfits. You look good in a crown, by the way. Oh, thanks! I stole the fairy crown, and I'll explain her later. So for now, we put Eliza the Ghost Bride and the Ramshackle ghosts all together in cute design, because I think they're all cute. I think the ghost designs are very cute. And they're, like, simple characters, because, like, they show up a lot. The Ramshackle ghosts, but in a sense of, like, they're easily used for, like, background ghost characters. But they're very fun. I like them. Next character, who technically is the first ever side character that ever shows up. I just wanted to get the Ramshackle ghosts out of the way because they technically show up first. We have... Wait, let me... I forget how to pronounce his name. Please excuse me. His name's kind of tricky. Artrimi Artrimovich Pinker. Or as everybody calls him, Chenya. He's the Cheshire Cat character. The first character that ever shows up in this story. That isn't like a main character. And he hasn't shown up in any events, but he's shown up in the main story a bunch of times. But the ghosts in our dorm were also unique ghosts. Kind of. It's just obviously for, like, game purposes, they use those 3 base models for other things. Because, there's even, like, a bunch of, like, you know, NPC students, and I'm pretty sure most of them use at least one character's body as a base. Because, like, most of the muscular Savannah Claw students are pretty much just using Jack's body as a base. And they just put other pieces on top of it. Anyways, back to Chenya, who's shown up the most out of almost every side character that has shown up so far, because he's appeared not only in the original Hearts of the Beale chapter, he kind of pops up during the Pumfiore chapter. He also kind of shows up in Trey and Riddle's dreams in the Diasomnia chapter. As far as I can remember, I don't think he's ever shown up in a side event. I think he did in one, but I don't know for sure. No, he didn't. He never showed up in a side event. He's only shown up in the main story, but he has, like, the most main story appearances. Which is why I'm going to put him in the best of the best, because he's just a goofy character, you know? I mean, he is based off of the Cheshire Cat, so... He kind of goofy. He kind of silly. He was also one of Riddle's friends and Trey's friend. Like, they were a little trio when they were younger, so... Like, he has more plot relevance in comparison to some of the other characters that show up here. And, yeah, he's just kind of a silly guy. He knows that his name is hard to pronounce, so everybody calls him Chenya. And that's all I have to say about him for now. Next one, the child. His name is Chica Kingscholar, and if you can't tell, that is Leona's nephew. Being that he hates the reason he decided to attend Night Raven College is because this child was born. He didn't have to go, but he did. And then he wasted a year, so he was held back, and that's why he's like 20 years old in, like, the Night Raven College, because, like, not only did he just wait a year to even, like, go to the college after getting his invitation, He repeated a year because he didn't do anything. He's like, I don't really need this. I just wanted to get away from the child. And that's Chica. He showed up a few times because, yeah, he's, Leona's nephew, so he's basically the Twisted Wonderland version of Simba. But he's clearly just the child version. The only version. And he showed up in one side event because there was a hometown event, as everybody's calling them now, where like you kind of visit a character's home region for like a certain event or whatever. So obviously the one that takes place in like Leona's home settlement, whatever. Chenya shows up at some point and he's just like, oh yeah, it's my uncle, he's back, I love you. And he tries to avoid him, but he always finds a way, so I'm gonna put him in here because I like him. He's adorable. I like him more than the ghost. Because he's just funnier, but yeah, he only just shows up because that's, you know, if it's something to do with Leona, he's gonna show up at some point. Next, we have this fairy queen who clearly shows up in the fairy gala events because she's the one who steals, well, her minions are the ones that steal the Night Raven College magic stone or whatever that's currently in charge of like the air conditioning at like Night Raven College. She uses it for a crown, and then in the second version of the event, she uses it for a scepter. I have to have the crown on my head because it's cute. And she's clearly just based off of like Queen Clarion from like the Tinkerbell stuff. Because like, look at this, she's like made, let me zoom in here. She's like made of pure golden fairy dust. Unlike the movie version of Queen Clarion, which is like, oh, her like gown and wings are like made out of fairy dust. Like, this is like, she's like made of it. So I'm putting her in okay. I mean, cute design, but she only shows up for like one purpose and one purpose only, and that is just because she wants to throw her little fairy gala in the Night Raven College greenhouse planetarium thing because like it's pretty. And they just let them do that. The only time they got annoyed was because they stole the magic stone. So fairies in this world are more like those first versions, which are kind of evil and trickster-like. Not really. They're not really the malicious ones. They're actually, these fairies here are like the light fairies. They're like the elemental ones. They're like the ones that change the seasons, like in the Tinkerbell movies. It's just that they clearly didn't realize that that magic stone was actually kind of important. Because, like, they talk in little bell chimes, too. So they really are kind of pulling from, like, the Tinkerbell Pixie Hollow type fairies. And like in their spring celebration, they just wanted, you know, they just wanted something pretty to put on their queen. In the second rerun of the event, the only character that's like, why are we doing this is Jack. Because, no, not Jack, it was Silver. Silver's like, why are we trying to steal this when we could just ask for it back? And then they're like, no, these fairies are mean. I'm surprised that they haven't had a fairy student yet. I think I mentioned this in the first part, but it's like fairies in general, whether they're like the little nature fairies like the Tinkerbell ones, or if they're like Malleus and Lilia, they're just not very common anymore at this point in time. Like, it's rare to see them. Or like, they don't really have that much information on them either. So, like, I guess the more like day fairies, like the more good fairies, are a bit more common of a sight because they're just like little nature things. They're just doing their nature thing. Whereas like Malleus and his kingdom area is like, it was like war torn, so there's not that many of them left over there. And like apparently most Fae migrated to that area because there's not that many of them left. I don't remember that you mentioned they're a rare breed. I think I did. I know I mentioned it when I was talking about Ortho at some point, because uh, like I brought up that like he finds Lilia kind of interesting and Malleus in general because they're fairies and there's not that much information on them. So he likes kind of observing them because it's like, oh, I can finally put some like new information that hasn't been released before. I can learn. So that's like fairies in general summed up in this universe. Because it's like they're either you don't see them often because they're the tiny little nature ones that don't really like being around people, or they were from the Briar Valley region, which is where Malleus's kingdom is, and there's just not that many of them, and they just don't want to interact with humans all that much. Like, in general, they just don't want to interact with humans. Whether they're like the day-turnal ones or the nocturnal ones, they don't really want to interact with them. Especially the nocturnal ones, they got beef. That explains why most fairies like those in Pixie Hollow only confine themselves to one territory, far away from the big people. Yeah, pretty much. And now we move on to the next event character, who was not the first character, but like the first sibling character that was released, and it's Jamil's sister, Namja. That's this one right here. She shows up in the first ever event where we visit somebody's hometown. It was, I remember the Japanese name was like Yasmina Silk or something. It was a fireworks themed event or something. And we visit the Scalding Sands area, which is where Kaleem and Jamil are from. So we get to see Jamil's sister. I think she's younger than him. Like, they're not twins or anything. I think she's just like a year or something behind. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, Jamil has a sister. Because if you didn't know, Jafar has a twin. If you've seen those other Aladdin movies or like the TV shows or whatever, I think that's where you meet Jafar's twin sister or something. I thought Kaleem was the first sibling. No. No, Jamil and Kaleem are not related at all. But the funny thing about Kaleem is that he has a bunch of siblings. We don't see any of them. We just hear him mention that he has a bunch of brothers and sisters. I thought Kaleem and Jamil were brothers. No, they are not. They're basically the Twisted Wonderland versions of the Sultan and Jafar, so they're not related. But Namja here is Jamil's sister, which kind of shows that Yana really likes looking into Disney stuff because, like, I don't think most people even realize that that's like a thing that's happened in Disney movies, that Jafar has a twin. I have not seen much of the Aladdin show. I only saw the episode with Eden, Genie's girlfriend. I haven't seen much of it either. I just know that that's like a fact that's like a part of that. I did see the 90s Hercules show, but she does not show up in that because that one, they just have a crossover with just Jafar coming back from the dead. But yeah. Anyways, I put Namja here. Like, we don't really see much of her anyway, but like what we do see of her is just kind of like, yeah, those two are siblings. It's kind of funny. They kind of mess with each other. She's like kind of trying to insert her way into like the friend group for a little bit, and Jamil's like, please go away. And she's like, nah. I'll leave when I want to leave. I just want to see what kind of people you're hanging out with now. I don't think she uses magic either, from what I remember. I think only Jamil does. Which is why, like, he's at Night Raven College and she's still there, back at home. But, like, I like her energy. She's, like, fun. I do want to see more of her at some point, but so far she's only showed up one time. Was Monzer the sibling mentioned? I have seen him before. Don't know. Like, my outside of Disney movie lore is kind of spotty, because, like, I've only seen, like, one Disney movie sequel that I actually liked, and that was Little Mermaid 2. I mean, it's not the best Disney movie sequel, but I just find the concept of, like, now we're putting Ariel in Triton's shoes in, like, the reverse situations kind of interesting. But, yeah. Now we're going back to characters. But we have Neji LeBlanche, who is clearly based off of Snow White here. When he shows up, yeah, I think that's interesting. I think he's the one who popped up in, like, the main story and a side event, because it had something to do with, like, the Snow White story. So he's shown up in the main story because, you know, Vill's rival, we need to have him here. And then he showed up in an event because he's, like, kind of from that region, but not really. He was just supporting his little friends here, who I'll get to later, you know, his little friends. You like Mermaid 2? I disagree. The prequel is better. I prefer Simba's Pride. The Lilo and Stitch sequels and Atlantis Milo's Return. I do like those as well. It's just I have, like, a weird personal attachment to the second Little Mermaid movie because for some reason, at some point, we left that VHS tape in Puerto Rico. And then we got it sent back because I liked that movie a lot for some reason. And that's just something I vividly remember about it. And I was like 5 when that happened. That's just my personal connection to that, okay? I just found this, now that I look back on it, I still find the idea of just switching the roles kind of funny. Anyways, Neji. He's like goodest boy, purest being. He wouldn't hurt anybody. He really doesn't. He's just doing his thing. He's also sad backstory. And I'm putting him up here too, because he not only has he shown up kind of a bit more often, he's just like one of those characters where it's like nobody really hates him except for Vil. And like most of the Night Raven college students just don't like the RSA students in general. But Vil's hatred of Neji is just very specific. At least you had kind people who found and returned your stuff instead of letting it rot or finding new homes. It was just at my grandmother's house. Yeah, it's not like it got completely lost or anything at some other place. It was just my grandma's house, and she was like, "Oh, you guys left something. I'll send it back." What does Night Raven College have beef with RSA? They're just rival schools. They're rival magical schools. Royal Sword Academy and Night Raven College are basically just almost the same thing, but different. Because, like, they're the 2 most popular magic schools in this universe. And they're, like, right across from each other. They're literally across the island from each other. Night Raven College is, like, up on a hill. And then RSA is kind of, like, on the other side, and it's not on a hill. It's just kind of funny. That's something you learn kind of quickly in, the Hearts Labule chapter when Chenya pops up, because he's the one who brings it up, like, yeah, our schools have rivalry with each other because, yeah, along with the fact that RSA usually wins almost everything in comparison to Night Raven College, because most of the students at Night Raven College cannot work together to save their life. Which is, like, the main difference between RSA and Night Raven College, is that RSA students actually can work together with each other. Night Raven College students struggle with that. They're good by themselves, but they suck at teamwork. And then that's what leads to whenever RSA shows up, Night Raven College is always gonna lose. And it's kind of funny because everybody's like, oh, but why can't Night Raven College win? They can't. They don't know how teamwork works. That's why we're here. We're trying to teach them how to work together. And now we have Neji's friends. They have some history going on, because, like, Bill kind of mentions that he knows what happened to Neji when he was younger. But he clearly doesn't say anything, because, you know, that's not what Neji wants people to know him for. He just wants people to be like, that's Neji, I like him, I look up to him, he makes me smile. Whereas, Rook was able to figure out something bad happened to Neji when he was a kid. And Vil was, like, told by Neji about, like, why he was, like, struggling, because, like, he had a terrible home life. Like, you can just infer that whatever was happening at home is the reason why he stays with these 7 guys. These 7 little dwarfs. And they are dwarfs. And they're the cutest dwarfs you'll ever see. They're so... Just look at how adorable they are! They're clearly based off of the 7 dwarves. Especially because their names. Their names are so cute, though. This one's Dominic. He's based off of Doc. This one's based off of Grumpy, and his name is Graham. Schleppy. That is his name. And he's based off of Sleepy. And this is Hop. He's named after Happy. Timmy. Based off of Bashful. And Snick. Sneezy. Then you got Toby. Toby's the cutest one out of them all. He's just so silly. He's based off of Dopey, obviously, but he actually talks, unlike the actual Dopey. Speaking of the 7 dwarves, remember the 7D? I remember that show. I remember a fever dream. I'm like, was this real? Did I imagine this? And then it's like, oh wait, no, it is real. I remember now. But I'm just gonna collectively put them all here in cute design, because yeah, they're adorable. And only 4 of them showed up in a side event, which was again that Snow White side event, so that's why Neji was there, because he was supporting his boys, you know. And his boys clearly won, because they know how to work together. But they're just adorable and silly little guys. I love them. And next we have, what's her name again? The director of of RSA, the guy who's like the opposite of Crowley, Ambrose the 63rd. Do they have their own mind like the other versions of the dwarfs? Not these guys, but there is a dwarf mine in the game. It's part of the prologue. Kind of gives you an introduction to the monsters you'll fight later. Moving on, we have Ambrose the 63rd, the headmaster of RSA, Royal Sword Academy. He is a more competent headmaster than Crowley will ever be. And Crowley just does not like him because of that. I think he shows up around the Pomfuri chapter because Night Raven College is like hosting some competition that's called in the Japanese version the Vocal Dance Championships. The English version changed it to Singing Dance Championships. Better than being the 69th headmaster. I forget, like, I don't remember exactly what his name is a reference to. I know he's kind of like a reference to the wizard in the Fantasia sequence with Mickey Mouse. He's like, he's based off of that. It's based off of a competent wizard. Yes, I knew the 63rd had a reason. I think he's actually based off of Merlin. Yeah. Being the 63rd refers to how the Sword in the Stone is the movie where... Yeah. Yeah, the reason why he has 63rd in his name is just it's a callback to the Sword in the Stone. So he's based off of Merlin. which is why he's probably way more competent as a teacher. Yensid, that was the name of the wizard. He is also in Kingdom Hearts and Epic Mickey. I feel like he's kind of a mix of both, because he doesn't really look like Merlin. Putting him in okay. He doesn't look too much like Merlin. He kind of has more of a vibe that looks a little bit more like Yensid. Mainly because his beard's not that long. Merlin has like a really long beard. But like, he's pulling more from Merlin because he's actually competent and not very mean. So, yeah, he's just meh. He's just a more competent headmaster. Oh, I got these a little bit out of order. Okay. Next, we're going to the first Halloween side of character that was ever added, as well as a Halloween character that has a voice. Because, like, only the Halloween events give the characters voice lines and actual voice actors. Characters that actually show up in the main story tend to have voice acting. Characters who show up only in side events do not have voice acting at all. So, like, Chenya, Neji, and Chica, and the little dwarves, they all have voice acting, and so does Ambrose. The Ghost Bride and the Fairy and most of the other side characters do not have voice acting, which is kind of why the Halloween characters are kind of more interesting, because they actually do have voice acting. You mean he has the fun and wise grandpa who's always up to teach his kids something? New energy that Merlin has? Yeah. He's actually helpful. Crowley tries. He tries, but he kind of sucks at his job in a sense. And Crowley's just like, what's your brain doing, man? Why are you focusing on things that are clearly not working? But Rollo Flam, the first Halloween side character. I forgot who his voice actor was. I just know that his voice actor voiced one of his major roles was like in Inuyasha. That's all I remember him for. But the only reason why most of the Halloween characters get voice acting is because you fight them at some point. And this Frollo, he's taken more from Frollo from the stage play than Frollo from the movie. Mainly because the stage play follows a little bit more closely to the book, because I think the original book for Hunchback of Notre Dame, the Frollo guy has a brother. And the stage play version of the Hunchback of Notre Dame has Frollo with a brother. And that's where most of his anger and resentment comes from, is the death of his brother. So that's what this character Rollo is taken more from. Because, yeah, that is a plot point in that event. So I'm putting him up here. Because I like him. He's kind of messed up. In, like, a funny way, too, though. Because, like, everybody in, he's from a different school entirely, which is why he's dressed like that. He's from, a school called Noble Bell College, which is a smaller magic school that takes more inspiration from Frollo as a character, and they modeled their stuff off of him. So that's why most of the characters in that event, when they show the Noble Bell students, they're kind of looking like Frollo a little bit. But yeah. I don't remember Frollo having a brother in the original version, but I know that Esmeralda has a mom, and Quasi is deaf, and Phoebus is a jerk. Yeah. I know it's the stage play version of Frollo that has a brother. Like, that was the motivation that they were going with in the stage play version, to, like, add to his character, because I think that was just cut from the movie. Because I feel like when they turned some of those 90s Disney movies into, like, Broadway stage productions, they had some stuff that was, like, cut from the original movies. Because I know in the stage play version of Little Mermaid, Ursula is actually related to Ariel. She's, like, her aunt. And that was, like, a plot point that was cut from the original Little Mermaid. And it's just not mentioned in it. So So we're pulling from multiple sources here. It's not just the movies. And honestly, I don't remember if I don't exactly remember when this Halloween event came out. I think I got the orders a little bit wrong. But we're going to the other event, the Snow White event in Appel's hometown region. I just call it the Snow White sled event because I can't pronounce it. I don't even remember what the English version of the event is called. I just can't pronounce it either way. I thought Ursula being related to Ariel was a fan theory. Nah, I'm pretty sure in some behind-the-scenes stuff when you look up the production of Little Mermaid mentions that. That was like the original plot points for Ursula being a character. Because like I know in the final version of the movie it's kind of said that she used to be a part of like the palace staff or whatever, and then she got kicked out for being like making all these shady deals behind the scenes. Like that's what's implied. So, yeah. But this is Appel's grandmother. Her name is Marja? I can't pronounce it. I don't know. I know how it's spelled. And I'm just gonna say that her name is Marja. And that's Appel's grandmother. She's like this sweet old lady. But she really likes that sled race event in their hometown. Like, she gets really heated and passionate about it. She's like one of those old ladies that's like really into like those hometown sports in a sense, where it's like, oh, she's so nice, but then she's watching the game and she's like, you better win. Along with the fact that she apparently used to be like the champion for that sled race, which is kind of funny. That whole sled race event is so funny because like the characters that show up there are Appel, because that's, you know, it's his main event. You get a special Appel card for that one. Sort of. Jade, Leech, Sebek Zigvolt, and Ida Shroud are also part of that event. And the reason why Ida is there is because one of his favorite anime is about the sled race in that city. Because it was like that big of a deal that they made like a show about it. It turns out that whole series is based off of Appel's grandmother. And it's just so funny. Along with the fact that Appel really looks like his grandmother when they were like the same age. It's so funny. There's like an old picture of Appel's grandmother just lying around in Appel's house, and they're like, oh, Appel, why are you wearing a dress? And it's like, that's not me, that's my grandmother. And they're just like, oh. Okay. But yeah, she's a sweet old lady. She's up here because she's funny. You can see where Appel gets his temper from because, oh boy. Oh boy, does she get angry when she's like focusing on that whole event. She turns into a monster. It's so funny. Next, we have the second Halloween event. The one based off, well, not the second Halloween event, the third Halloween event based off of Pinocchio, which is the second Pinocchio-themed event in this entire series. Because the first, one of the first events is like a Blue Fairy Wishing Star event. Appel's grandma's name is spelled Maria. Fill me if you were curious. Yeah, I know how it's spelled. I just don't know how to pronounce the name. Because, like, I think it's supposed to be, like, Eastern European or something. I forgot what it is, but, I know I pronounce it funky. But, yeah. Next we have Fellow Honest, or as his English name is sadly Ernesto Foulworth or something. I don't like it. And his buddy Goodell. The English name has him renamed to Gino, but I refer to them to the Japanese names. I just like how they sound better. But it's just funny to think that they have multiple aliases. But, this dude here is voiced by the Japanese VA for Joseph Joestar. So when I heard this man talking, I'm like, he sounds like Joseph. I think you pronounce the first name with a J and the last name Felmer, but I could be wrong. Yeah, I forget. I kind of forget how to pronounce things, but I know how it looks. Anyways, he's voiced by Joseph Joestar in Japanese. So it's like, I immediately knew I was gonna like this guy, and I did. Because, like, he's just the shadiest dude. He just shows up to the port, and he's like, hey, you kids, you want to go to an amusement park? You seem like a bunch of good students. Don't you want to hang out at this exclusive amusement park? I got you tickets. And they just go along with it. But it turns out that that's just his unique magic. It kind of like lowers your like situational awareness or something, so it's easier for you to go along with his whatever he's talking to you about. It's so funny. He's not a shady goon. He's living an actor's life. Exactly. He's like, don't you want to be an entertainer? Don't you want to have a chance to be a star? For a day at this cool amusement park. And it turns out that amusement park was just kidnapping people who were breaking the rules. Yeah, this event is kind of unintentionally dark if you think too hard about it, because it's like, what happened to everybody else? They just disappear off of the face of the planet like nothing happened, and it's just like, what exactly was going on there? Well, pretend it didn't happen. But Goodell is actually closer to his character because he does not talk at all. He no talk. He's just here. He's adorable. But how do they handle the donkey? Surely less traumatic than the movie. They're just part of like the scenery. There's no turning into donkeys. They turn you into like a puppet. They turn you into a puppet, and then who knows what they do with you later. Like, they don't really go that in depth about what exactly they were doing over there. You just know that he's doing some shady stuff over there. He doesn't really want to do this shady stuff, but he's like, I need money. I am broke as dirt. We need money. And I want Goodell to have a good life. And if it means we have to be shady dealers of human trafficking, so be it. But Goodell's adorable. He's cute. He's going up here. He's going up here. He doesn't really say much, but he's so adorable. I love him. And Fellow's going up here because he was entertaining to watch. He was just like he was entertaining to watch all this go down because he's just playing it off so like, why don't you have fun at this amusement park? Oh no, you're breaking the rules? Oh well, time to collect you for the shady stuff. I don't really want to do it, but some of y'all will bring in some good money. Because, like, some of the characters that show up in the event are Leona, who is literally a prince, and Kaleem, who is, like, the son of a very wealthy family. So it's like, oh, I got some people here. There's also Vil, too, and he's, like, literally a celebrity. It's like, oh, y'all, who cares? We got some wealthy people up in here. Next character. I need to see what his name is, because his name changed from the English version to the Japanese version. His name had a switcheroo. His name is Kifaji, or in the EN localization is Neji, and he is clearly based off of Zazu. And he's supposed to be the one watching over Simba. Or little Chica, the boy Chica, up here. He's supposed to be in charge of watching him, but Sometimes Chica slips through the cracks. Fun fact about Gideon from the Pinocchio movie, he was actually supposed to speak, but sometime in the production they thought he'd be better silent. Only a hiccup was recorded by the Bugs Bunny guy. Oh yeah, I remember hearing about that. You mean Mel Blanc, the man of like 1,000 voices? But I'm gonna call this guy Kifaji because that's the name I'm more familiar with, and he's the only character who first appeared in a side event and then showed up in the main story at some point. So he actually has voice acting now. I'm surprised the game doesn't have a Stromboli or Coachman stand-in. I mean, they're implied to exist. But honestly, Honest John and Gideon are very popular overseas. Yeah, Mel Blanc, that was the guy. Yeah. Along with the fact that they're probably just more popular to show in villain-related merch, Honest John and Gideon. Because they have more fun designs in comparison. I don't think they're allowed to show Stromboli that much anymore. And the Coachman barely shows up. He just kind of is there toward the end. So some people sometimes kind of forget that he's the one running Pleasure Island, I guess. But Kifaji, I'm putting him up here. He gets the job done of being what he's supposed to be based off of. It's like the retainer for like Chica, but he was also the same. He was the same for Leona, so like they know each other really well. Which is interesting because like in these dream worlds, most of the characters are like that show up in people's dreams are basically just being kind of like Malleus's puppets or whatever. But if like you know somebody very well, they do not behave in the way that you would expect them to behave, being like a puppet of like Malleus's. Because Kifaji in the dreams, he's just being himself. He's like, Leona, what the heck are you doing? Please reconsider. And then by the time we show up in Leona's dream, he's like, I'm gonna help you because he's being stupid right now. Kifaji sounds like a name that would work well in the Lion King franchise. Yeah, I don't know why they switched his name in English, to be honest. I'd look it up, but I don't feel like it at the moment. I don't know exactly why, because I think that's the weirdest name change so far. Because, like, most of the characters, besides Fellow and Goodell here, most of their name changes kind of made sense. Because, Chenya's full name was for a while, like, most of the people were saying it was Alkima Pinka or something. Because they just had the Japanese Romanji to go off of. But then the English version's like, oh no, this is actually how his name is actually pronounced. It's an R, not an L. So. And Neji's name is easy. Rollo's name was also for a while kind of up in the air for a little bit, but it turned out to still just be Rollo Flam. That was the name from the beginning, and that's the name it is. Fellow and Goodell kind of had like a weird name change because it's just trying to mimic the Honest John names. But I don't know. I don't know about them exactly. I just think it's more of like, oh, they can have multiple aliases anyway, multiple silly little names. Because anyway, whatever name they're giving you isn't necessarily their actual names. So like, yeah. Like, I don't understand Kifaji's name change. I really don't. Next... I think this guy comes first. Move you over. Move you over. This is Bal Zigvolt. Or Bar Zigvolt. This is Sebek's grandfather. And he shows up in Lilia's dream in the Diasomnia chapter. And do you want to know who this guy's voice actor is? Is Dio. This guy has the same voice actor as Dio from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And I love it. It just fits so well because he's so angry. It's like, oh yeah, now I see where Sebek gets his personality from. It's this guy. Along with the fact that Lilia does mention, like, you act a lot like your grandfather. Maybe Kifaji is his name from the Pride Land's native language, and the US name is his overseas name. I don't know. I don't know exactly how the process works over there to determine whether or not they're gonna follow more of what the name's actually implying, because it could just be like a kanji thing. Maybe. I don't know. Because, like, some changes I understand to an extent, like, oh, this is actually supposed to be pronounced like this because that's what it's referencing in the kanji or whatever. Because, like, his name, for a while, people were just calling him Ball. B-A-U-L, but it's actually Bar, B-A-U-R. Why is Ball like Dio? Does he want to become a god? No, it's just like the yelling. When he's yelling, he sounds very much like Dio, and I think that works. He's just a loyal knight, you know. He's serving under his general and his leadership. He's just very loud, along with the fact he doesn't really like the humans. He hates them. Which is kind of ironic because then, like, in the present times, Sebek exists and Sebek is like half human. So it's like, clearly over time he's mellowed out. But like when you meet this guy all the way back in like 400 years ago, he's like, you humans, you're horrible people. Why are you doing this to us? So yeah, that's Bar Zigvolt, Sebek's grandfather. He is kind of entertaining because he really is just like the extreme of what Sebek is like in game. Because Sebek kind of looks down on all the other characters who are like just regular humans. He's like, humans. And it's like, I see where you picked up that habit. Because he really takes pride in his more fairy lineage. His fae nature. Because, like, I don't know, he picked up habits from his grandfather, who still clearly has some resentment toward humans, but not that strongly anymore. Because his daughter's the one who marries a human. So I am putting him up here. I want to see what he is like in the present now. So, like, we have what he's like in the past. I want to know what he's like in the present, because clearly he actually adores his grandchildren, and I think he spoils Sebek the most, because Sebek is, like, the youngest one. So, yeah. This creature, he shows up in the Diasomnia main storyline, in Lilia's memory, Lilia's backstory. This is the king of, like, the humans or whatever, from the country that's, like, pillaging the Briar Valley Kingdom. So, yeah, these are the guys that they're at war with, and he is the worst of the worst. He is horrible. Evil creature. His name is Henrik. We don't like this man. He is horrible. Just purposely trying to incite a war between the fairies and the humans because he just wants all that magical ore over there. Why is Bar like Dio? Oh, wait. Basically, Bar and his kin are fairy supremacists. For a while, yes, because, like, the war was, like, horrible. They're like, we can't trust these guys. They've taken our land. And this is the reason why this creature just inciting a war between humans and fae. Henrik looks like Roman Emperor Nero, but uglier. Yeah. We don't like this man. This man is horrendous. And, yeah, like, he kind of, like, incites a war between these two kingdoms, because he's like, I need more of your magical ore, please. And he's also like kind of like the reason why there's weapons that can kill fairies now, because like they figured out what their weaknesses are, in a sense, like what they're weak to. Because fae in general, they live long and they're not that easy to kill. But he found a way. Like, and he tried to steal Malleus when he was an egg. But he was unsuccessful in that regard. Which leads us to this guy. We like this guy. This is the Dawn Knight. We don't know what his actual name is. He's just referred to as the Knight of Dawn or the Dawn Knight. And this man is technically Silver's father. Just straight up, this man is his father. This man also happens to be Silver's, like, uncle. Because, this guy, he married this man's sister. So yeah, that's what we know. And this man is Silver's father. And he has like a sword that's been blessed by fairy magic, which is like the other fae. The ones that are not nocturnal, the daylight fairies or whatever. I'm just gonna call them the nature ones. So like he was blessed by like the good fairies or whatever. And he is responsible for the death of Malleus's mother, but he didn't want to kill her. He really did not want to be a part of this. He's like, this is wrong and you know it, man. But it's like, hey, you're the one who married my sister. Twisted Wonderland would be peak as a console video game RPG. Honestly, it would. I would love for like a home console version of this game after it's like completed or something. Just so that way this game doesn't disappear into the ether, you know? Because it's just that good. It needs to be preserved. It's gotten so good. And we put the Dawn Knight up here because he's only shown up, like, specifically in Lilia's memories. And, yeah, it's like, I do want to know more about this man, but we'll probably never know more. Because he is literally dead. And Silver's the only remaining of his kin. Is that guy fae or human? He is human. The Dawn Knight is 100% human. He just has a sword that's blessed by fairies from a different region. Or at least a different alliance, because the nocturnal fairies and the daylight fairies already didn't like each other anyway. And next we have Melanor. At least we have manga for the game, even if there's no offline version. Yeah, the manga's interesting. Speaking of the manga, they just announced a new main character for the manga, because like each dorm chapter has like a different character. And this one is just Kaleem, but make Kaleem a girl. So that's gonna be interesting. But getting back on topic, here's Melanor. The queen, the crowned princess of the Briar Valley at that time, back in the past, like 400 years ago. This is Malleus's mother. Malleus's dead mother. we only see her through Lilia's memories, and she was definitely an ambitious princess, because like at some point she wanted the humans and the fairies to get along with each other, but that was not working because, again, this creature was definitely making that difficult. So it's like, you know what? Time to attack. Like, how dare you? But yeah, she was like the crown princess, because she wasn't queen yet, but she was going to be at some point. She also has a missing husband. We don't know if he's dead or alive. We just know that his name was Laverne. And that's literally it. We don't know anything else. But she did love her husband, and she did love Lilia, and like Lilia was like her trusted general or whatever. It's like, I trust you to save my child who has not hatched from this egg yet. So we put her up here as well. Because she's cool. We like her. she just wanted what's best for her child. But she's also very, very, like, maleficent, you know? Like, she's just throwing lightning bolts at people when they get her angry. I would have more to say, but I can't really off of the top of my head. But, like, yeah, she's cool. She also has, like, a really pretty look. She reminds me of the live-action version of Maleficent. Like, she has that kind of grace and elegance to her, which makes me wonder what Malleus's grandmother looks like. Because we don't... Because, like, Malleus's grandmother is mentioned by name. Her name is Malefica, but, like, we never see her. We haven't seen her yet. I don't know if she'll ever show up in the main story or whatever. But we've seen his mother. And she's pretty. Very, very pretty. Next character! This is Vill's dad. His name is Eric Venue, and he is a famous actor, man. He shows up in an event that involves Vill. It's the one where he has that really pretty suit cape thing going on, and he looks like a handsome model. She kind of reminds me of the fae form of the evil queen. She does have that energy. I like it. Anyways, this is Eric Venue. This is Vill's father, a celebrity actor, an action star man. And, Vill purposely did not tell the world that this man was his father because he wanted to be famous on his own merits. Because, like, he could have easily coasted off of the fame of his dad, but he did not. So, yeah. His dad's kind of nice. He's like a chill guy. He kind of just shows up and he's just being like the most chill dad ever. It's like, hey, my boy has friends. That's awesome. I think the chat on screen is scuffed up because there are two messages I type which aren't on screen. Oof. Yeah, it's weirdly out of sync, but I'm looking back between the two just in case. So I'll try to catch the differences. He hasn't ever asked the mom for child support. That man is a saint. Yes. Yes, he is. We don't even know who Vill's mother is. Vill doesn't even care. All we know is that this dude is chill. This dude is cool. Whatever happened between them, who cares? It's not important. He's just living his life, man. Which is why I'm putting him up here. Even though I still need to reread that event because I kind of glossed over the Tapis Rouge event. I kind of glossed over it just a little bit, but I read enough to get a good vibe of this dude, and he's chill. And Vill seems to think so too. Vill's got a better home life despite the fact he has no mother. Or at least we don't know who his mother is at all. He doesn't even care. He's like, that's in the past. We don't focus on that. We focus on the now. We focus on making a good future, you know? Next set of parents. Mr. and Mrs. Shroud. They showed up in the main story, so they have voice acting. And Miss Shroud is voiced by whoever voiced Cardcaptor Sakura. That's all I know. That's all everybody's kind of focused on. I don't remember what major role Mr. Shroud's voice actor did. I think it was something similar in like that genre of anime or something. I don't remember exactly. I just remember she's voiced by the same person who's voiced Cardcaptor Sakura. And you can kind of tell in the voice because she sounds very like, no, she's probably supposed to be like in her 50s or something, or like 40s, and she sounds so young and energetic. So like these are Ida's parents. These are the parents of the Shroud siblings. I didn't know Ortho's parents were humans. I thought he was built rather than born. Yeah, but the thing about Ortho is there was a real Ortho Shroud who died, and then Ida builds the robot that is Ortho. And as far as I can tell, his parents don't seem to mind that fact. They accept the new Ortho with loving arms. Because like Miss Shroud really does like adore Ortho like a baby boy. He's like, this is my boy. Like they're cool with it, I guess. I don't know, cause like when we learn about Ida's backstory, his parents are like just not there at all. But at the same time, it's like they like run a super secret government organization. So like I'm not surprised that they probably don't know too much, but they know enough, I guess. They just handle grief differently, that's for sure. But Ida's mother is very similar to Ida in a sense, because like when she's in the zone, she's in the zone. She's like, I'm working here. You fools have no idea what you're messing with. I am the greatest at everything. It's like that's where Ida gets his personality from. Felt it was weird that they just accepted new Ortho, no questions asked. Nice of them though, yeah. I feel like it's because they've managed to move on quicker than Ida probably did. I don't know. I like to assume that they're just busybodies for the most part, and that's why they probably process that completely differently from Ida. Because like there's just something, they're kind of quirky. Like they're not as cold and heartless as you would assume, but like, I don't know. It just feels like they're too focused on what they're supposed to be doing anyway to like dwell on that fact. I don't know. But they're interesting. They're kind of adorable together too. They work off of each other so well. He's just like Mr. Shroud's kind of like just quiet, doing what he's supposed to do. He's the one that's in charge of like the whole Shroud family thing, I think. And then she's just like here, like, I'm here, I am your tech person, I'm going to build the best whatever you need. Maybe they just accepted new Ortho because they have the same issues Ida does. Probably. I mean, Ida acts a lot like his mother. Like, he probably comes off to people like he acts more like his dad, but nah, he acts more like his mother. His dad's kind of chill and reserved, and the mom's like, I'm loud, I am here. Yeah. Along with the fact that during the whole the Insomnia chapter, Dream hijinks, when Ortho manages to like email himself to Styx headquarters, and he's like relaying all the information about like what's happening so far over there. The mom hacks into Ida's computer because Ida's computer has all like the document stuff for Ortho and like his builds and whatnot. So when Ida learns that his mother had to hack into his computer, he is horrified. He's like, what? She did what? Oh no! Ambi model inspired by a Shroud of Wind. Oh, that'd be fun for next Halloween now, wouldn't it? But like, I'm kind of confused as to which Shroud parent has the curse and which one does not. I think it's supposed to be the dad, but they both wear helmets because of it. Because like the Shroud family in general are very like secretive, very like, we don't want the world to know who we are, despite the fact that they kind of do. But like they're always hiding their faces anyway. So like I don't remember. Because like I don't know, I kind of just been seeing fan stuff about these two. Like, I don't really know exactly, like, which one has the curse and which one does not, and if this curse, like, transmits onto somebody else. What curse do you refer to? The Shroud family curse. I kind of brought this up a little bit when I talked about Ida and Ortho. At some point, probably, in one of my ramblings. But, like, their family lineage is cursed because they had like an ancient ancestor or whatever that's presumed to be Hades, and like, you know how like in the movie he like tries to overthrow Olympus and like that fails miserably. Like their curse is kind of based off of the repercussions of that ancestor messing with the way everything works and then being punished for it. So now they like, their family lineage is like cursed in a sense. And the way that this curse works is that they do not, like, accumulate blot, they burn it. So, like, when you play through the prologue, you learn about, the accumulation of, like, blot or whatever, and how, like, that stuff kind of, like, accumulates as like a waste product or whatever when people use magic, and if you use it too much, it does bad things to you. So like, technically, by the rules and the logic of this curse, they literally cannot overblot. But yet they found a way. Cause there's like a bunch of like overblot creatures that are like in the Styx headquarters in like a basement hellscape thing. Like they're researching these things because it's like, how do these things work? Why does this work? How can we use this product? What is blot? Is it magic residue that can become a deadly sewage? Yeah, something like that. Crowley does explain it in the prologue, like when you're completing that, and after you've like near the end of that, he kind of talks about it because like you encounter a dwarf overblot monster in the mines, and you're like kind of recalling that, like, well, we fought some weird monster in there, and it left behind something weird. So yeah, blot is the reason why there's like these weird black magic stones that Grimm keeps eating off of the ground. But yeah, that's a thing. Like they're in charge of like trying to figure out how that works because like they literally cannot accumulate it. They just burn it off instantly. That's why their hair looks like flames. I don't know why they have sharp teeth, but that's just a trait. But yeah, ranking the Shroud parents, they're up here too. Yeah, they also just look cool. Like they got cool helmets going on. Okay, we're almost done. We have 2 left. Next, we have Dilla Spade, which is Deuce's mother, who shows up in a hometown event that involves the White Rabbit, and like they have like a little festival maze thing that goes on in their hometown, kind of celebrating the White Rabbit or whatever. And she's just here. She's like, oh my goodness, my boy has friends who are not delinquents. I am so proud of my son. She's just a single mom working as a delivery driver, you know. She's just doing her thing. And she's just like almost every parent. She doesn't really know how phones work. But she's so happy to see her boy doing so much better. Because Deuce brings up in the Hearts of Beale chapter that like he used to be a delinquent and he started to try and change his ways because he caught his mom crying about like what did she do wrong raising him, and he felt bad. He's like, oh no, this is not what I wanted. So he like tried to change his ways, and now he's in Night Raven College and he's trying his best to be the best honor student he can be for his mother. He's like, I'll make you proud. At least he got some reassurance that his mother is indeed proud of everything he's doing now, even if he's not the best at academics. Like, at least he's not hanging around with delinquents anymore. But she's cool. She's cool. I don't know why I have a mech category anymore. I don't know. I honestly have quite a lot to say about most of these characters, actually. I'll just... yeah. Next, we have Scully J. Graves, the most recent Halloween event character, for an event based off of The Nightmare Before Christmas. And he is clearly based off of Jack Skellington. It is very prominent in his design. I don't think this list has been updated recently because he's still just a JPEG image and it's not his like live 2D model, because he does have one. I forget exactly who his voice actor was. I don't remember. I think he was also a part of like Inuyasha or something. That's the only thing I can think of at the moment. Kapi Yamaguchi. Oh no, he was a voice actor in Rama, One Half, and Inuyasha. That's where his voice actors most popular roles are from. Do you think we'll get Scully again this year or an Oogie Boogie character? I don't know. I'm curious about what next Halloween's event is going to be. I wonder if I really wonder what direction they're going to go with this time. Cause like there's probably like a few movies that you could do, or like I don't think you. I'm curious, man. I want to know. Like I have no ideas as to where they could go next Halloween. It would be nice to get an Oogie Boogie character though, cause that'd be fun. Like a return to the Halloween event. And this time Scully's on our side the whole time. But yeah, he's clearly based off of Jack Skellington. He has a love for Halloween, and he's the reason why Night Raven College has these most elaborate Halloween events. And it's an interesting little Halloween event. It's like learning the lore of Night Raven College's Halloween event. And like why they have like a very like cool parade for Halloween, and like all these cool little stamp mazes or whatever. He's also very adorable too. He's like, I just want to look up to you, Jack Skellington. I just want to be like you. But you're not listening to any of my ideas, and I feel bad. Cause I adore Halloween so much. But then he learns the true spirit of Halloween. I'm putting him up here. I don't care. He like almost all of the Halloween events get to be up here because they do a really good job of making you like these Halloween characters. And that's literally it. We have I could put the shrimp somewhere, but I don't feel like it, because the shrimp is basically just the main character stand-in, because that's what Floyd calls the main character. It's the nickname that sticks the most because Rook calls the main character a trickster. So, but a shrimp is easier to make little images of for a stand-in of like, this is the main character. Insert. I could put it somewhere, but I don't feel like it. Because like, the main character is just you. But yeah, that's everybody so far. My opinions on every side character that has shown up to this point in time. Yay! And it only took an hour and a half. This one kind of took a little longer to get through. Like, there's surprisingly a lot to say about some of these side characters. If you rate the shrimp, you rate yourself. If that's the case, then I'm sadly here. I am a creature, an evil little creature. I could put the med back in there then, because like, there's nothing really to say about. There's nothing really to say about the MC, because like I'm not including anything about the manga stand-in use. Me. But yeah, that's basically everything that I had to say about that. Tomorrow's probably just gonna be a chill drawing stream again. Maybe offhandedly talking about how weird of a character Rook is. That's like a possibility. Yeah. It was fun. It was fun making a silly little list like this. I enjoyed it. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye!